My greetings to everyone. Welcome to the special lecture on symbolic expressions on the innovative pedagogical approaches. Now, as we have discussed, innovative pedagogical approaches are new and creative teaching methods which use certain tools and techniques to enhance the learning and develop the important skills in the students. Now, these approaches, they demonstrate some expected attributes upon completion of a course or a program. So, we have already discussed the behaviorism in which it is called as a teacher-led learning and considered as the lowest level of knowledge, that is the memorization and the repetition, and is considered as the traditional teaching pedagogies. Then we discussed about constructivism, which is definitely a progressive teaching style in which we highlight individualization and the slower paced learning in which there is a less teacher talk and more support from the expert. Now, the next important teaching pedagogy is your librettism. Now, this is an educational approach that prioritizes the student voice and the democracy in the classroom. It involves the collaborative learning, independent exploration, and the teacher acting as a facilitator. The innovative pedagogies that can be used include blended learning, gamification, computational thinking, experiential learning, and more. Now, to empower the successful development of the innovative pedagogies, there are three important structural changes within the educational systems. The first is your providing the professional development opportunities for the teachers to ensure that they have a strong foundation in the quality teaching practices. The second is promoting diversity and inclusion by widening the profile of the educators, thus bringing the different perspectives and approaches into the classroom. And the lastly is the hybrid learning models that combine formal and informal teaching elements, utilizing technology and experiential learning. It creates a flexible and an engaging educational experience. Cultivating gratitude as a pedagogy can actually enhance the student-teacher and student-student relationships, fostering a positive learning environment and improve the student focus and understanding. This involves encouraging the gratitude practices and the reflection among the teachers and the students. The learner's learning needs represent a gap between the learning experience one wants to have and their current state of knowledge, skill, and enthusiasm. So, there are four domains of potential learning needs. First is your cognitive, social, affective, and psychomotor. In the cognitive domain of learning needs, we recognize the good questions. In the social learning needs, we communicate with our peers. In affective domain, we attain the goals. And in psychomotor, we become comfortable in settling with particular aspects. Now, getting help from the experts is a part of cognitive learning. Experience the external motivation is a part of social learning. Be open to feedback from the others is affective, and having a child care is an example of psychomotor domain. So, the diversity of learning needs amongst the learner is influenced by many factors like the course, the discipline, the level of study, the required competency, and the practical application of the knowledge. To ensure that the learning outcomes of a course align with these specific needs, it is very important to identify them accurately. Now, furthermore, these learning outcomes should also align with the desired graduate attributes as outlined in the new Education Policy 2020. Now, by linking the learning needs with the graduate attributes, the students can experience a holistic development as emphasized in the policy. The development of the graduate attributes as defined in the National Higher Education Qualification Framework requires the implementation of the specific pedagogical approaches that cater to the learning needs of the students. Therefore, an effective teaching learning process should be established between the graduate attributes, the learning needs, and the appropriate pedagogical approaches. Now, this approach ensures an outcome-based teaching learning process where the specific graduate attributes are developed through the targeted pedagogical methods. So, let's have a list of suggested pedagogical approaches that can really help to develop the specific graduate outcomes by addressing the identified learning needs. So, let us start with the graduate attribute number 1, that is comprehensive knowledge. Now, what are the learning needs associated with the comprehensive knowledge? To know the discipline in its current form, its emergence and the future developmental aspects, interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary context for discipline knowledge. Now, what are the specific pedagogical approaches which can be used in this graduate attribute, that is the comprehensive knowledge? The classroom lectures using a chalk and talk technique, case studies, examples, discussions, methods, thematic teaching and learning by design can be very successful in achieving the graduate attributes considering the learning needs of the students. Let us move on to the next aspect, that is the procedural knowledge. Now, what are the learning needs of a student? To know how to use the knowledge professionally for highly skilled work, task related to the chosen fields of learning, including the knowledge required for undertaking the self-employment initiatives and knowledge and mindset necessary for entrepreneurial involving the enterprise creation, improved product development, or a new model of organization. Now, the particular pedagogy which can be used to attain the procedural knowledge, that is the graduate attribute, is the activity-based learning. We will be able to complete and fulfill the learning requirements and the graduate attributes of the procedural knowledge using the different activities in which the learning is magnified. Now, let us see the next graduate attribute, skill. The goal is to possess the skills in a specialized area within a chosen disciplinary or interdisciplinary field, including the practical skills in both routine and non-routine context in a multidisciplinary context. Now, as far as the pedagogies are concerned, some training workshops and vocational internships are good methods in order to attain the graduate attribute called skill. Let us move on to the next graduate attribute, that is the complex problem solving. Now, what are the learning needs of the student as far as the problem solving is concerned? To have a competence to solve the problems, in a particular and non-familiar context. Now, the pedagogies are analysis of the critical incidents originating in familiar and non-familiar situation. So, analysis is the best pedagogy as far as attaining the complex problem solving and the otherwise student consuming needs and desires are concerned. Now, moving on to the next graduate attributes, that is the critical thinking. Now, what are the learner needs? Having an analytical mind and the ability to synthesize the information from the varied sources. Now, what are the possible pedagogies which can help in achieving the graduate outcomes, that is the critical thinking? Some group discussion techniques, brainstorming, real life problems, allowing some reflection time and integration amongst the students. So, these are the best pedagogies as far as the graduate attribute critical thinking is concerned. Now, let's move on to the next graduate attributes, creativity. Now, to be able to think differently and have an out-of-box solution. These are the learner's needs. So, let's move on to some pedagogical approaches to achieve the creativity. The stimulus activity, reframing problems, brainstorming, free writing, mind mapping are perhaps the best teaching pedagogies which can help in achieving the graduate attributes of creativity. The next graduate attribute is your communication skills. What are the learner needs? Let's dive into that. The individual should possess the excellent listening skills, the clear and precise communication, the sensitivity, the confidence, and the technical correctness. Now, the best pedagogical approaches to achieve the communication skills are content-based instruction, some jigsaw cognitive learning puzzles, think aloud, pair, and problem solving. Now, these pedagogical approaches, they help in achieving the graduate attributes called communication skills. Now, the next graduate attribute is your research related skills. The goal is to develop the research capabilities in the problem formulation, hypothesis proposition, the use of appropriate tools for data collection and the analysis, the report writing and the research ethics. So, these are the learning needs. Let's see what helps pedagogical steps in achieving the research related skills. Some guided questioning, experiments. Now, the self-reflection techniques, collaboration projects, they are really helpful in achieving the research related skills. The next graduate attributes is your coordinating with others. Now, to have the capability to coordinate and collaborate with others towards the achievement of a group goal, these are the needs of the students. So, by the help of peer teaching, group projects, group grid, think aloud, pair and problem solving are really helpful techniques, pedagogical aspects as far as coordination and collaborating with others are concerned. The next graduate attribute is your leadership readiness and the qualities. Now, the learner needs are to have the capacity to organize and direct these aspects. So, the pedagogical aspects are the teamwork and decision making. The next graduate attribute is learning how to learn the skills. Now the learner needs are to have the ability to pursue the self-directed learning activities throughout the life, to be a lifelong learners. Now the pedagogical approaches which help in achieving the learners how to learn skills are the self-learning, exploration, the real life problems, allow some reflection time and integration amongst the students. Now let's move on to the next graduate attribute called digital literacy skills. The learner needs are to have the capacity to use the various ICT tools and the software and integrate them to analyze the data. Now, the particular techniques, the pedagogical aspects are the use of some practical exercises using the ICT tools and the software. The next is your multicultural competence, which is the graduate attribute. So the learner needs are to know the values and the beliefs of the multiple cultures and to be able to engage in a multicultural environment. Now the pedagogical aspects which are helpful in achieving the multicultural competence is interacting with a diverse group, to have some cultural meets in the higher education institutes. Then we have some diversity based conferences, seminars and the classroom lectures. So all these aspects as far as the pedagogies are concerned are really helpful in attaining the multicultural competence. The next graduate attribute is your value inculcation. To imbibe the constitutional, humanistic, ethical and the moral values in the life, including the universal human values of truth, righteous conduct, peace, love, non-violence, scientific temper and the citizenship values. Now, these value inculcations can be best achieved by some pedagogical aspects like storytelling, debate, discussions, the cultural meet and the celebration days of some national importance. Now, let's do some approaches enabling the learning of multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary courses. Now, the multidisciplinary education is an educational approach that allows the student to explore some different subjects from the various disciplines without having any rigid boundaries. The curriculum aims to develop a holistic understanding of the subject approaches by highlighting their similarities and some differences. It also fosters the critical thinking and the problem solving skills beyond everyday experience. Now, there are some various academic disciplines, including the humanities, the social sciences, the science, mathematics, languages, and the arts. They are included to nurture the critical and the reflective thinking. The goal is to enable the students to reflect and apply the approaches that they learn from their discipline, becoming effective, critical, creative thinkers in the interdisciplinary context. Now, this interdisciplinary education combines the different academic disciplines for a holistic understanding. It requires both the disciplinary and interdisciplinary knowledge. The teachers play a very vital role in helping the students make connections between the subjects. The next is your disciplinary education, thus in an arrangement of the knowledge and the skills within one subject area. It aims at integrating the subject knowledge and the skills into a coherent whole and recreate this in a holistic manner. The next is your information and communication technology in the classroom. The ICT for enabling the learner-centric interactions, the collaborative tools, the ICT tools for fostering the cognitive skills like summarizing, visual presentation, concept mapping are significant in the development of 21st century skills. The use of ICT contributes equally to the learner and the teacher for being confident, responsible, reflective, and innovative and engaged. Now let's see the ICT contribution to the teachers and to the learners. The first contribution of ICT is confidence. Now let's see about the confidence from the learner's point of view. Confident in working with the information and the ideas of their own and the others. Let's see how confidence plays a vital role in case of teachers. The confidence to teach their subjects and engage with each subject in the learning process. The next ICT contribution is responsibility. Responsibility for themselves, responsive to and respectful to others are special contributions of ICT for students. Responsible for themselves and responsible for and respectful for others are some of the ICT contribution for the teachers as well. Let's see the next ICT contribution as innovative. Innovative and equipped for the new and the future challenges are both for learners as well as for the teachers. The next important ICT role is engaged. Innovative and equipped for new and the future challenges. And this is for the students. For the teachers, it is intellectually, socially, professionally engaged and ready to make their students 21st century challenges ready. So these were some of the important contributions of ICT as far as the student learning is concerned, because it enables a very flexible environment, a very important tool in increasing the analytical power, the summarization power, the mind mapping power, and contributes immensely. There are some technological changes which are taking place across the globe. Considering that in mind, ICT is indispensable and we have to integrate in the making the process of teaching and learning most effective. Thank you so much.